Hello again, and welcome back to Guilmy Talks, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I have an amazing guest on this week, Jeff Geaghan, one of the co-hosts of probably my favorite podcast right now, Make Eternia Great Again, or otherwise known as Mega. Go check it out. If you love all things He-Man and just a fun show. Go down there, load it. Oh wait. All right. Thanks for pausing down there, loading the show, following it, because I really enjoy it. It's a great show, and that's it. We talk about it. This is part 1 of 2. We had a pretty extensive talk, so 2 parts is always fantastic. Let me just get through some of my advertisers and sponsors to what are they? Oh, and if you noticed, I have new theme music this week. I got it off of freesounds.org. I think I'm going to be doing that from now on, unless a guest specifically requests something, because it is really fun to actually do that kind of thing, throwing new music in, changing it up a little bit. But that little intro, I think it's going to stick with the Guilmy Talks for a little while. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for Jeff for coming on the show. It was really fun just sitting and talking all things He-Man and podcasting and collecting and nerdiness all together. Really fun. And I just got to get the advertisers in. Just want to say go check out Tabby Lynn's Scentsy page. It is amazing, and you just do not want your house to stink. I personally love the product. I'm looking at 2 of them right now. I got them pretty much in every single room of the house. It's a wax-based product, so it's animal friendly. Your kids will not get burned from it. I've actually taken the quote-unquote hot wax and dumped it directly on my hand because I'm an idiot, and it did not burn. I was okay. And I got it in my kids' room, my bedroom, the main floor. I just love that stuff. I think right now we got the still rocking the Christmas minty smells in the house, because you know what? I just like it. And go check out Bats in the Belfry art on Instagram, guys. She's gonna be doing commissions again, so go hit her up for any of that kind of thing. She does amazing work. And I believe she just broke 1,000 followers on Instagram now. So keep it coming, guys. It is amazing. She's a friend of mine and just does amazing work. Go check her out. If you need any design work done or any artistry stuff, go check out at Solid Designs on Instagram. Another amazing artist. Go check him out and tell him Guilmy sent you. Okay, guys, here's the show. Hope everybody enjoys it as much as I did re-recording it. Make sure you listen to the very end, because I have a very interesting story. I put up a post about it there, and you know what? It's a good one. I seem like a complete idiot. Now, guys, we'll enjoy the show. Good morning, good evening, good night. How is everybody doing out there? This is Guilmy again. Welcome back to a Guilmy. And this is why editing's a wonderful thing.
That's right, amen, brother.
All right, I am leaving that in this time, guys. My guest this episode is Jeff Geaghan, one of the co-hosts of one of my favorite podcasts out there, Make Eternia Great Again. If you are not following it yet, you know what? Pause this. Go follow them. Look it up on Podbean. They're on the same server I am, which I promote because I love those guys. They're wonderful. They're great. They've helped me out many times. Go check out Make Eternia Great Again. And also just want to say welcome, Jeff, as the president of the Modulok fan club. I'm very happy for you to come on Guilmy Talks. How's the day going, man?
That's awesome. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. That's awesome. Yes, I'm definitely not the president, or I hope you're not the president of the Modulok fan club either, but that was really funny. That's really good. Yeah. So if you know anything about our show, obviously you do.
I
but,
do.
Yeah, we kind of rib on Modulok quite a bit, so that's kind of funny. So very good plug.
Oh yeah, and anyone who doesn't know, Make Eternia Great Again is a He-Man based podcast that they just talk about toys, movies, replicas, accessories.
Yep, the cartoon. We talk about
Yep.
The comics. Obviously, we usually do 3 segments on every episode. So we'll pick a character and say like Too Bad or something like that, for example, or something like Beastman, if you're more familiar. And we'll talk about the cartoon. We'll talk about the comic. We'll talk about the toy. And sometimes if they're more popular, then we'll go ahead and we'll talk about have them where they're in the movie or something like that as well. So. But it's more of a, I think some people probably want to hear more of the deep dive of stuff and, like the history of things and that, we get into that a little bit, but we are definitely not a podcast about, like we're not the masters of the universe, you know what I mean? So it's like, we like to keep it really light. We're just a couple 40-year-old guys that just want to talk about our memories of things and not really, worry about getting into the weeds of being too analytical with everything. So we just try to keep it lighthearted and fun. It's a good comedy show. We have a lot of laughs on there, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I personally love listening to the show because normally I listen to podcasts when I'm walking the dog and out and about by myself and seeing people stare at me where I'm laughing while walking the dog through college early in the morning. It throws people off, which is just great.
That's right. That's so funny. I do the same thing like when I'm driving to work or whatever. It's the exact same concept. People are probably looking at me like sitting in traffic and I'm just dying laughing all by myself and get some stares. But, we need that though. We need to laugh. And that's what I love about our show is we just try to keep it lighthearted and have a lot of fun. And, we get ribbed from time to time, because we're, inaccurate at times and stuff with what we're saying. But, like I said, it's just all about fun, and like what you were saying about Modulok, again, if people aren't familiar with Modulok, he was an abomination.
He's
no, I'm just
worst,
joking.
Worst, not just worst. He-Man. Worst action figure of the 80s. I'm going to call it now. And even the good guy robot version, is okay. But Modulok is just like a monstrosity put together and sold to children. It just
that's right. And that's funny that you say that because it was like that's kind of our shtick on the show is that we joke around about how it's basically just these guys from the 80s who were consistently just trying to get money out of kids' pockets, you know what I mean? And so it was just clearly they don't care. They're just in it for the money. So we always have a blast with that. We just imagine like some big dude just sitting back, in a boardroom, chiming orders at people and stuff with a big old fat cigar in his face and snorting cocaine on the side like, yeah, let's get all the money from the kids, so it's fun.
And that's why the Toys That Made Us was a fantastic show.
Absolutely that was a great show. We love that show.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen I don't know how many times I've watched the Transformers one because I'm a Transformers guy. But He-Man because He-Man has that certain spot to me that he had a babysitter who had a bunch of He-Man figures, and when my parents would be going to work, he would come over. He really brought me out of my shell because, as you probably picked up, I got a speech impediment a little bit, which editing is great, helps with that a lot.
Yes, definitely.
But
definitely.
Yeah, no. He-Man for me actually brought me right out of my shell and got me playing with other kids because he's this giant hunk of plastic that you can run around the neighborhood screaming at people.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, I was the same way. I just really enjoyed the just the overall aesthetic of the toys and of the comics and everything, just the lore of it and everything. You know, I was really big into Star Wars as a kid when I was real young, and obviously that came out in like '77. I was born in '78, so I've always known Star Wars. And when those He-Man characters came out, man, they were awesome because they were huge. You know, they fit in your entire hand. I was like, whoa, this is like a giant compared to what I'm used to. And they had like that sweet power punch, you know, and man, that was awesome. They were just so much fun. And and the names of all the characters and stuff were just like, they're so punny, you know, just full of puns and everything. And gosh, it was great. But yes, Modulok is the worst.
Oh yeah, he is. He's the worst. But
that's right.
And I don't know why, but my favorite as a kid was Too Bad, and I still.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Nice. Did you now? I'm gonna get kind of deep here. Did you have the flat back or the round back?
Rounded.
Nice. So you had the original. Awesome.
Oh yeah. It's rounded back because I'm actually looking for one for my personal collection now, but I got 4 kids. I'm kind of cheap.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Oh,
yep.
Oh yeah. And
oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Too Bad's a cool character, man. He's definitely one of my favorites as well. I talk about it quite often. My 2 favorite characters on that of Motu was Moss Man and Buzz Off, and kind of goes back and forth of which is my favorite depending on what day you're talking to me on it and stuff. They're both really, really close as being my favorite. So, but again, kind of obscure guys. But I grew up with an older brother, and so I was kind of babied a little bit as a kid, and so my parents would give me all of the good guys, and they would give my older brother all the bad guys, which is such a horrible thing to do to the kids, because then you're like mortal enemies forever. You know, it's not just like, hey, you get these guys, and you know, it was always we were pinned up against each other. It was fantastic, but no, so all my characters were all. You know, my favorite guys were obviously all the good guys and stuff, and you know, my brother had all these. Some of them were pretty awesome, you know, like Triclops and things of that nature, and I just loved it. But again, since he was the bad guys, you know, he got the evil horde characters, and that was Hordak and Mantana and you know, Modulok and things of that nature. I remember specifically when he got Modulok, he was really pumped about it because he came in a box. There's so many pieces, and I think it was 35 pieces or something like that. I can't remember how many there were, but
and then lost. I think he probably lost about 6 of them in the first day of day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And but no, I mean, my brother, he loved Modulok. He loved him a lot. And I never did. I didn't get it. I agree. You said the robot guy. That's Multibot. I thought he was way better than Modulok. So it's kind of funny, but.
Oh yeah.
But anyways. But yeah, we enjoy the podcast, and we have a pretty decent following and stuff, and I'm glad that you like the show, and again, I appreciate you having me on. It's quite the honor. I love your show too. So
well, thank you. And speaking of podcasting, how did you actually get into podcasting? Because you weren't one of the original guys, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. So. It's kind of a cool story. So the show, like what you're referencing, the show actually started, I'm trying to remember what year it was, 2017, I believe. And I think it was like March of 2017. I could be wrong in the month. But I started becoming a fan of it. And I learned of it actually through a guy that I work with. And he was like, you like He-Man? You should check out the show. And he's like, it's a friend of mine that does it. I'm like, oh, cool. And so I started listening to it. I was like, actually, this is really good. And turned out that his friend that he was talking about actually worked with us. And so all 3 of us worked in the same company. And so I was like, that's neat. Well, I was living in Lincoln, Nebraska at the time. And so my wife and I bought a new house in Omaha, Nebraska, which is about an hour away. And so we have an office in Lincoln and in Omaha. And so I moved over to the Omaha office, and that's where this guy named Eddie Fossler was working out of, and he was one of the co-founders of Make Eternia Great Again. And so So our mutual friend Justin, he was like, "Hey, I should get you guys together. Jeff over here really likes He-Man and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, you do?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, we should have you on the show sometime." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we just kind of hooked it up, and I'd never really talked to him before, and a couple weeks later, I was on their show. I think it was episode 29, and we decided to talk about Buzz Off, and we just clicked like in that episode. It was amazing. It was like we got done. It was kind of like the Step Brothers movie, like, did we just become best friends? It was incredible, and just the chemistry that Eddie and I had, and then the other co-founder, Carl Smith, they basically, when the show started, it was very rare for the two of them to actually hook up and record together. So they were doing a lot of solo recording. So Carl would do an episode about somebody, and then Eddie would do an episode about somebody, and it had some cool connotation and stuff, and it was a little bit comedic and whatnot, but it was starting to, according to Eddie, it was starting to kind of die off a little bit. And when I came, onto that one episode, he was like, "Wow," he's like, "this was amazing." And so him and Carl talked, and they were like, maybe we should see if Jeff wants to come on the show on kind of a semi-permanent level or maybe a permanent level. And so they, came to me and asked, and I said, sure. So I came officially on. So my first episode was 29, and then I officially came on like maybe 3 or 4 episodes later. I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but then I've been on ever since. So that was like that would have been July of 2018, I believe, when I came on full time. So it's been, or no, I take it back. It was July of 2017. Yeah. Yep, oh, wow. It was July 2017. So it's been a little over 2 years that I've been on. So it's kind of a cool story. So, and then now, like I said, I work with Eddie in the same office and stuff, and we're like best friends now. It's awesome. So he's a good dude, super funny. Like I said, if you watch or listen to this show, he's a blast. He's definitely the talent.
And I do like your little videos. He's so animated and kind of bouncy.
Yes. Yeah, and that's how he is. That's not a character. That's how he is in real life. He is a lot of fun to hang out with. He's a lot to handle. He's like lightning in a bottle, that's for sure. But yeah, he just goes like, and he's pure heart too. I mean, we have a good circle of friends. We actually we run an entertainment group together called the Last Starfighters Entertainment Group, and it's consists of a bunch of artists and podcasters and a whole bunch of other things. And so we go to different Comic-Cons together and things of that nature. And Eddie's not formally, but he's kind of informally the president of that group. And for his birthday, we had a big surprise birthday party for him, and we all showed up, and we were shooting off fireworks in his front yard and doing all this really wacky stuff. We dressed up as chickens and all this other stuff. It was kind of a long story, but it was a really, really awesome deal. But what was cool was like everybody had all this amazing artwork that they created, or they had other artists create for him and stuff. And because he's just such a good dude with a huge heart, and he's so funny. And again, I just cannot say enough. If you haven't ever listened to Make Eternia Great Again, please go on to Podbean and check it out. And just if you want some good laughs and a lot of heart, it's totally worth it. But it's a good time. He's also, if you didn't know this either, he's also a co-host of another pretty popular podcast called Paranormal Dads, and they're also on Podbean as well. And super fun. And it's him and 2 other guys, Andy, who is a psychic medium, and then their friend Pat, who's just another dad. And they talk about Bigfoot and about Loch Ness Monster and about ghosts and about all sorts of different things. And it's, again, super fun, very lighthearted. It's one of those podcasts that you can sit down, listen to it by yourself and have a good time, or you can listen to it with the family and have a good time. And it's, it's another thing that we really try to do is we try to keep everything pretty G or PG, and all of our podcasts, because it's just one of those things like, yourself, you're a dad, and I just know that I want my kids to be able to listen to what I'm doing and stuff and be proud of it, so, but yeah, how about yourself? You've been doing this for a clip though.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 2016.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been doing it longer than me, so.
Yeah, but in there, I've kind of taken a little couple months off here, a couple months off there, just to focus on life, family, because as you know, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, where podcasting fans don't really understand how time-consuming editing can actually be. And
that is the truth.
oh yeah, like honestly, I bring my laptop to work and I tend to edit on lunches.
Oh, interesting.
I do have a question about the last Starfighters Entertainment Group. You guys made a comic book.
Yes, we sure did. Yep. We made it was strongly based off of our podcast, off of Make Eternia Great Again. We actually, by the way, I don't know if you caught this, but we shorten up and we call everything Mega. And so we made a Mega comic book. We released that, I believe it was July, I think, of last year, July or August. I think it was July. End of June, early July. That's what it was, because we had it right before Comic Con, which is Omaha Comic Con. And we again, we have lots of we kind of create these inside jokes on the podcast of like where we're talking about Modulok's the worst and all this other stuff, and we one ongoing theme is that we never ever talk about He-Man or Skeletor. We haven't. I mean, we talk about them obviously, but we've never had an episode dedicated to He-Man or Skeletor, because it's been this ongoing thing that it's they always got the love in the shows, and the side characters always were kind of side characters, and so we like to do that. And we always talk about when we decide to hang up Mega for good, we'll end the two last episodes with a Skeletor and He-Man. But anyways, so with that, we decided to create our own comic book, and based on all the funny little quippy things that we've done on the show, and I have a copy of it downstairs. I'll have to mail you one. I'll mail you a copy of it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you have to give me your address. I'll mail you one. But I forget how many pages it is. It's pretty. I mean, we made a mini comic. So if you remember the comics when we were kids,
yes.
So it is a mini comic. So it's smaller in stature and stuff. But a bunch of us worked on it. I was one of the flat colorists on it. I did the flat coloring. But our good friend Lee Bachma, he was the main artist on it. He does. He's got you can follow him on Facebook. This goes by the Art of Lee Bachma. Very, very talented artist. We actually met him at a comic convention. We were supporting Mega. We had a booth there and everything. And he was like, you have a podcast for He-Man. That's pretty cool. And so we just kind of started talking to him and stuff. And next thing you know, he became a fan of our show and stuff and started reaching out to us. And he drew a couple pictures, Motu related, based on he was inspired by our show. And we just kind of hooked up from there and went off, and we became good friends with them. So, and then we have some other people in the local scene that are artists as well that we've known for a while, and so they kind of helped out as well. And so that'd be like Jesse Kiefer and Al Garrison. And so we worked pretty hard on that. It took us 6 months with all of us working together on it. We wrote the whole story ourselves. Lee did all of the illustrations, and then there's a number of us that did the coloring and whatnot. But it's a fantastic coloring book. But we also decided that we wanted to do something outside of the realm, and we wanted to. There were so many of us are very talented as far as our voices and things of that nature as well. And so we decided, let's turn this into kind of like a read along comic book as well. So we did an audio version of it and put it out on YouTube, and we had to unfortunately just take it down due to the new FTC and COPPA rules and all that stuff. But we didn't want to get dinged for anything, so we had to take it down, unfortunately. But I think we're going to put it on our Facebook page. But anyways, it was a full edited with sound effects and music and the whole thing. I don't know if you ever got an opportunity to watch it while it was out there, but yeah, we're pretty proud of that video. It's pretty cool. We all came together and did all the voices for everybody, for Rio Blast and Ram Man, and I was the voice of King Grayskull. And what's cool about the comic is it basically just starts off. It's like a full on episode like you would have seen in anything else, but instead of He-Man being the hero, it's actually Rio Blast and Ram Man. And so it's like Rio Blast is the main character, Ram Man is the sidekick, and they get into some shenanigans and whatnot. And in order to save the day, Rio Blast has got to make his famous chili, and It's just a funny concept. I don't want to, no spoilers here, but yeah, like I said, I'll send you a copy and you can definitely check it out and stuff. So it's pretty fun.
Please, thank you. I would absolutely love it. I'll add it to the. How many boxes I got upstairs right now? I think 7, 8.
There you go. Good.
Yeah. No, I'm very much a comic book guy. I've been collecting since the 80s. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, just comics, toys. Now going back to that, what do you like about collecting? Because on your show you actually talk about your mini collection, I think.
Yep.
And what I try to put my finger on this. I've had other collectors on the shows, and what is, I think it's just the joy of the hunt.
Yes, you nailed it right there. It is. Yeah. So I was collecting the vintage characters for a while, but it was kind of hard because like it's such a different dichotomy of price with the vintage characters, because if you get them out of the box and used, you can literally pick them up for $4 or $5 a piece, maybe 10, 15, depending on the character. He-Man himself or Skeletor, depending on if it's like Taiwan made or whatever is in Mexico or whatever, some of those variations and stuff, they can get pretty pricey. But what I was bummed out with is that they're so old, and so if you wanted to get them in really good shape, you have to get them like mint on card and stuff, and that's when they get really pricey. So I was like, I was having a hard time spending that kind of money for these things and whatnot. And then one day when I was looking for, I think it was Moss Man, I was trying to find one that was, in good shape, that wasn't $6 billion, and I came across the classics version of Mossman. Some guy was selling it for like $20, and I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I was like, I've never actually seen these before. I'm gonna check this out. So I bought it off of eBay, and at first I was like, oh man, this is way different, but that's kind of cool. I'll go ahead and put them up on my desk, And so I got them, and I was like, that's neat. And I like the articulation. There's a lot more, you can move the hands and the wrists and the arms and everything. And there's so much detail to it. I was like, that's pretty cool. And so I was like, I might grab a couple more of these classics. And so I did. And I forget who I grabbed next. And then my son bought me a Hordak for Christmas and of the classics. I'm like, man, I'm really digging these classics. And so, like you said, he just kind of got addicted to that hunt. And I was like, I'm going to get my mini collection is purely based on, if you're a fan of Motu at all, if you recall the first sets of comics that came out, they had this, it was a different storyline, way different than the cartoon. There was no Prince Adam or anything like that. It was actually a Ular.
That's
Ular was like a caveman, and he became He-Man. He was helping the goddess, otherwise known as Tila, and that's why she had the red cobra, helm and everything. And so in that comic, He-Man helps, or not He-Man, Ular helps out the goddess from this beast. And so she's like, you know what, you're worthy of this. So she gives him the shield and the chest armor and the power sword, and all of those elements were magical. And so when he put those on, then he became He-Man. So it was a way different concept than what we were introduced with the cartoons. And so I decided to do my collection based on that, because with the classics, there's different variants of every single character. Well, not every single character, multiple characters, I should say. So, for example, Beastman, there's like the typical Beastman where he's orange with the blue and everything. And then there was a Comic-Con Beastman variant that came out where he was red, because in the very first comics of Beastman was actually red, not orange. And so, again, there was multiple characters in those very first variants that I decided that I was going to go after, because they were more rare and harder to find. So my Tila is actually a blonde Tila, and she goes by Battleground Tila. The Red Beast Man. My Man at Arms is actually, I'm sorry, not Man at Arms. My Ram Man is actually, he's wearing an orange shirt with maroon pants instead of a maroon shirt with green pants that we had as toys as a kid. And so ultimately, I really decided to go deep into the classics, and I kind of got rid of all my vintage stuff. And so now my mini collection has grown to quite the collection. It's not as big as, I mean, I forget how many characters there are. It's like 130 or something like that. And I think that, yeah, because they have all these weird ones like Sir Laser-Lot, and I mean, if they kind of mentioned it, they made one, So, but I think my collection, is about 30, I think, but it's all the characters that I wanted, and then I set my limit. I'm a dad as well, and I try to be frugal, and so I set my limit at the characters I wanted. And I went after them. I thoroughly enjoyed that hunt. It was a lot of fun, but I got everybody, and I haven't bought anything since. So it's been about a year since I've bought any characters, and I'd love to get back into it if I could, but I promised myself, and especially my wife, I wouldn't.
See, where me, I love the Titans from the Transformer figures. The really big guys like Metroplex and Trypticon, and
yes.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll get myself the big guy once a year maybe when the new one comes out.
Nice.
And I'm good with that. I've been collecting toys for years, and I got a pretty good collection. And actually picked up a lot of He-Man figures a couple years ago, and there were a lot of the 2000 ones in it, and I wish I didn't sell it at that time because they're going way up now.
Yes, yeah. And the 2000 series is very interesting because, again, that cartoon and stuff just, it started off. Well, I didn't even realize it was a thing. I completely missed it. I was just starting off as being a dad and everything at that time when that came out, so I completely missed it. But so it wasn't until later on that I was, privy to it, and I was like, wow, this is actually interesting. And at first I was like, man, this isn't my He-Man. I don't like this at all. And so I just discarded it because it was like very anime. But now after starting the show, and we started digging more into different elements of He-Man, we started kind of picking up on a few of those episodes. I was like, actually, this is actually a pretty good show, So, and then same thing with the toys. I wasn't a big fan of like Beastman's like really elongated and has real long arms, and they really accentuate the different sizes of things and stuff in that show and on the toys. And so I wasn't a big fan when it first came out, but now after being more entrenched in everything, I'm actually a pretty big fan of those toys, and they're a lot cheaper than the classics, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But no, they're pretty cool though. They are going up in price. They definitely are, but you can still get them mint on card for maybe $20 a piece, which isn't bad. That's not bad at all.
Now, the one that I wish I did not sell, I had the classics Panther. And
yes.
I sold them way too early.
Yeah, I bought them way too late. I paid an arm and a leg for my guy. He's actually almost doubled in price right now. But Panther is probably one of the what would you call it, like battleships of He-Man right now for the Motu Classics. He's pretty hard to get. And so he's up there in price. I'm not going to say how much I paid because I don't want to tell my wife. But no, he's going, probably like in box and stuff. He's roughly right around 300, I think, right now in box. So that's incredible. I think his brand new, he was like $35. So. And yeah, it's nuts. And then I don't know about you. I don't know if you keep all yours in your box or not, but
no.
Yeah, me neither. I take them right out.
Oh yeah, I've actually done this at a comic shop. I bought a guy and opened him up in front of the owner there, and the guy he was not happy.
It's like, hey, it's mine now.
Oh yeah, he's right. Just like, I just crack it open, start. I think I gave it to one of my kids. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, it's a toy. It's supposed to be played with. He's like, you just spent blank amount of money on it. I'm like, yeah, well, he wanted a Green Lantern guy.
That's right.
Like, yeah.
That's right. That's the thing. If it brings joy to your kid, who cares?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I do the same thing. I have some classics characters and some vintage ones that I had got back in the day because I knew I was a He-Man fan, and it was either I had a double of it or it was just somebody I didn't really care for, so I gave them to my kids and stuff. And people were like, "What are you doing? Those are worth." And I'm like, "Who cares?" I was like, "You know what? They love them. They're having fun. They're not cranking on them. They're not drawing on them with a Sharpie or anything like that. You know, they're taking care of them. They're having a lot of fun." So
yeah, like my son will borrow my Transformers from off the shelves, whether they're the G ones or the ones now, because he absolutely loves them. He treats them better than I do.
That's right. Yeah, me too. Well, that's what's good about the G1 stuff is, like, I mean, you can be pretty rough with those things, and they're gonna handle it. You know, so.
Oh yeah, like what was it? Oh, I just picked up this about 3 months ago. I got to pick up my favorite childhood toy, and it just makes me smile every time I just walk here by it. The Power Masters Optimus Prime, not the first one, but the second one, where he turned into a giant block of a robot.
Right.
There's a whole story behind it. Why I love it, but it just makes me smile when I just walk here by it. And yes, I probably I didn't pay for it. I traded for it. So.
Oh, nice.
Well, I love doing that, but I'm always scared though.
Right.
Just with the quote unquote trades, I'm like, okay, I'll send you this. You send me that. And
you're right. It's sketchy. You get some people out there that, you know, they promise this one thing, and then you get it and it's something else, or you never get what you sent for. They, you know, they just fall away into the darkness and you never hear from them again. So it's pretty sketch out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I've been pretty good. I've only had one, only got burned once really bad, but that's part of the game too.
It sure is.
And since we're talking about collecting, what is the one piece that you would love to have but just never happened?
Oh man, are we talking He-Man or are we talking anything?
Anything.
Oh man.
Because I know, and just I gotta say this because I found out they're making a 6-inch G.I. Joe line starting this summer, which I'm very excited about. Like G.I. Joe's the same size as the He-Man classic guys.
That's awesome. I'm definitely buying into that. I was a huge G.I. Joe fan.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Now that's a good question. I'm trying to think if there was anything out there. I would say, honestly, probably the one of my favorite toys that I never got, and it kind of stinks because my son actually has them now, was Bruticus. If you remember from Transformers, he was one of the Combaticons or whatever. Yep. So I forget what they were called, because like the Constructicons turned into Devastator, and then there was the
Menasor.
Well, there was Menasor was one of them. And then there was also another guy called Bruticus.
Okay.
And but they had like the Constructicons and the aerial bots, and there's something I forget the collection of these vehicles, what they were called, and then they formed into Bruticus. And the color scheme of Bruticus was really cool. It was such it was like a brown and dark purple and maroon and like a mustard. It's these really like dull colors, and for whatever it was for me, it just really I just loved it. I thought it was super cool, and I loved him on the cartoon and stuff, and I just he was a pretty rare character, and so I never got to actually get him. But my son, we were at a Comic-Con years ago, and he was 14 at the time, and he had quite the savings saved up, and we were going through, and he found a used one, and it was a lot more than what I wanted to spend, but he really wanted him too, so he went ahead and bought him. So I was like, oh, you jerk, so I still got to hold him and everything. It was pretty cool, but he's his, he's not mine. So
nope.
But yeah, that was probably the one toy I always kind of wanted. I never did get. I mean, Devastator's probably up there too. I never had I actually didn't have any Combaticons myself, but anyways.
Yeah, I got the when they re-released Devastator. That was the one that kind of got me on the whole Titans kick, the giant transformers, because I got Devastator and then I had to get other ones that were the same size and just.
Yes, they're so cool. They're beautiful. You know, I just
they're awesome.
The concept of it is so cool. Like I love Transformers, love it to death, and everybody but Hot Rod because he's an a-hole and killed Optimus. But
I've done a whole podcast on Hot Rod killed Optimus Prime.
Oh man, that's funny. That's so good.
God. Yeah.
But but I just love like Devastator and the aerial bots and all of that, you know, and even the big guys like Omega Supreme and you know stuff like that. It was so cool, man. Transformers are just they're so awesome.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
I'll have to send you some pics. I'm in the midst of redoing my my little collection area thing. So
nice. Please do.
Once it's up. It's about 70% now. I just need to add 2 or 3 more shelves. And
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But in all honesty, am I ever done playing with the collection? No. This is what I want to do now. Next year it'll be something else.
Yeah, that's awesome.
See, guys, I told you it was a fantastic talk. I really enjoyed having Jeff on the show. And if you haven't yet, go check out Make Eternia Great Again, or any of the other podcasts we discuss on this show, because they're all fantastic, guys. I personally love them. They're fun, they're funny, and they're enjoyable to listen to. But I promised you guys a terrible story about it, and I got one there for you. So the thing is, I was upstairs cleaning the bathroom. I had headphones on because with myself, if I don't put headphones on, I don't stay on task. I get distracted. I can do this, I can do that. I was by myself, alone in the house. So I clean the bathroom. I get that all done, and then I just grab a quick shower after. And I hear my lovely dog going crazy downstairs. She normally does this when anyone walks by the house, when somebody knocks. I just thought, oh, it's a package. They'll leave it on the door. So I just grab a towel, start walking down the stairs, and I hear 2 voices, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm naked. There are 2 gentlemen in my house. Before I go any farther, I'm going to tell you, it was the maintenance guy and the pest control guy for the townhouses I live in, and it was just it. They sent a note about a month ago that they're all coming in, and I just plain old forgot. So I dropped the towel because I've learned many times ago, dealing with crazy is people do not like that. So I just walked down the stairs, bare ass naked, ready to fight 2 guys. Then I realized who it is. I'm like, hey, how's it